Hi folks, welcome to another Fireside chat. I've got the fire going, nice and warm, and this week we're going to look at the exciting 1980s. It was exciting, lots going on, lots happening, so let's tuck in. Last week I rambled on, recounted, recalled my wargaming in the 1970s. So I thought let's continue this week into the exciting 1980s, and it was exciting. Lots going on, lots and lots, all over the world. My little world, marriage, children, starting businesses going down the pan with recessions, and then starting new businesses. It was an exciting time, very, very exciting. And on the war games front, we were going onwards and upwards. A group of us in the early 1980s thought wargaming was about going to conventions and playing competitions. That's what it all seemed to be geared to. You got good or better at playing. You got your armies, painted them up, made them look nice, and signed up to go play at conventions. That seemed to be the gist of where wargaming was going. Last week I was recalling my first 15mm army. It actually was a Goth army, so that would be heavy cavalry, medium cavalry and extra heavy cavalry, lots of infantry archers, and this would be from Tabletop Games. That was Bob Connor's Tabletop, very big in the early 1980s. Bob's sadly no longer with us, and the reason I think we used Bob and Tabletop Games is they were brilliant on post. I remember we'd have a war game, our club night round one of the lads' houses was on a Friday, and we'd play a game using whatever figures, and would get soundly beaten probably. You could ring up Tabletop Games on a Saturday morning, order up some figures. If they got them, Bob would have them in the post by Saturday lunchtime. That's how good they were. If not, it'd be Monday. And in those days, the post used to arrive the next day. And that's incredible for a lot of you people. But yeah, post would be there. So you'd hope to get them by Monday or Tuesday. Get them painted up. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Spray varnished. Shove them on some card, obviously, for basing. Spray varnished. Probably sometime Friday. And then take them for a game on Friday night. Open the box and it would reek of varnish, but those were the days. Yeah, this wouldn't be complete armies, obviously. This would be additions, new units of cavalry or new units of infantry, or to try something different. I think at this time we were still playing, this would be early 80s, we were still playing 6th edition, and my next army that I got was the Dacian army. Excuse me, Dacian. That's D-A-C-I-A-N, isn't it? Yeah, Dacian army. It would be, so I signed up to play a competition. I think it was Gravesend in Kent, and we were in Cambridgeshire, so it was a long old drive. And I turned up with this Dacian army, and I'd shocked everybody. I thought it was a great little army. And so everyone's coming around to see what I've got, because they were looking to see what I had discovered that they hadn't, about how good this army was. But of course it wasn't a very good army, and it got absolutely hammered. I'd picked it because I liked the army. Everyone else was playing these super competition armies, super duper late Romans, hang gliding in wedge, as we used to say. 6th edition, so lots of little figures, little 12-man units, charging into oblique angles on the front, and multiple weapons, heavy throwing weapons, darts, bows, javelins. Me with my little Dacian army. So I think I only used that once in a competition. I used it back at the club night. We were having a game, but Yeah, it didn't prove very good on the competition front. And of course this was 6th edition, 1100 point armies. It used to be 1100 points, and the general 100 points was free, you didn't pay for him, so basically 1200 points, isn't it? But they were called 1100 point armies. Then if I recall, they went up to 1250 point armies, so we got a few more troops, but you included the cost of the general this time. Still playing 6th edition, still playing 15 mil. I think I had now got a late Roman army, realising that to stand any chance in a competition I needed an army that was going to be able to take on other people. So sadly I was forced to go to late Romans. Nothing wrong with the late Romans, but it's just, you know, when you were forced to play competition armies, you know, to a competition standard, obviously you had to pick the best you could get, or as good as you thought you could get. And as to the figures we were using at this time, minifigs, this would be the newer minifigs. They had a revamp, Neville did, and they were now coming in these yellow packs. Very, very good figures, very popular. I actually applied and got a trade account, and I used to go around the clubs, various clubs in the area, because in those days there were several clubs. And you were allowed to travel around. It's incredible, I know. You could actually go out and no one stopped you. No, and I would sell these minifig packs. Got a brilliant discount. I remember you had to pay up front, obviously, and a check with your order. And you got 42.5% discount. That was the discount that minifigs used to give. And mine was just a basic trade account. Wasn't mail order, because obviously minifigs did mail order, but I was allowed to have an account and go around the clubs. So I was able to sort of offer 10, 15, 20% to people, so they were getting a good deal on buying their minifigs. I think we were buying, I think we were building up 15 mil ACW armies as well, using minifigs, because again they'd revamped. That's right, yes, we'd switched to minifigs. I say the 20 mil had gone in the 70s. The 25 mils I still have no recall of what happened. I must have sold them on somehow, because I don't remember painting up many of them and playing with many of the 25 mils that I bought. That's the 25 mil ACW that I bought in the 1970s. And the other popular manufacturer, or growing fast manufacturer, would be Essex Miniatures. They really hit the ground running. I think Brian and Christine started Essex Miniatures in 1981. Didn't like some of their early figures, looked very Hinchcliffe-like, and if I remember talking to Brian several years later, he said he did actually copy the Hinchcliffe style to start with. That's, like many of us, you look at a style and think, right, I'll try it. But I remember that would be now 84, probably 85, yes. They're Greeks coming out, and they're newer figures, and they were starting to look good. Very popular. They had Kevin Dallimore, who painted a lot of Foundry stuff. He painted a lot of the Essex figures, and they were always in the magazines, Wargames Illustrated or Military Modelling, I think, in the early days. But the Essex figures were very good, very, very big figures, different style. Very popular. I remember we started to collect lots of 25 mil Essex ancient figures. So we must have been moving to 25 mil games in the mid-80s. That would be for competition games. Mid-80s. I'll have to just go and check to see when things started to move. Yeah, just checking up. One of my first armies was the Essex Miniatures Late Roman Army. Very good, very nice figures. That would have been 6th edition, so probably a 1250 point army. Legionaries, Yeah, 12-man units or 16-man units possibly. Seem to recall 16. Anyway, that army was painted for me, so I must have been doing well money-wise. Yeah, the whole army was painted for me. Played some competition games with that. Don't think I did anything particularly brilliantly. Again, all over the country we were going. Midlands, south, not too many up north. Perhaps it was too cold up there, but lots of games in the Midlands and in the south using my late Romans. So we've got through the mid-1980s. Obviously club nights. I'd moved to a different club. The club night used to be around a guy's house with sort of half a dozen of us, and then I joined a club in another town. Obviously needed more competition practice, so that would be on a Tuesday night. I was going for that. Seemed to dry, and then obviously Friday night as well, so 2 nights a week. Married and children, it starts to get difficult, but the Tuesday night club night became very popular because that's where we were playing the competition games in the 80s. And then 1987 comes along, and wow, the change in rules. We go from 6th edition to 7th edition. I remember it being quite quick. Lots of talk about no, we're not going to change, we're going to stay with 6, we're going to stay with 6. And of course, the minute that the club organisers, the competition organisers who were running these at conventions, moved to 7th, we virtually all had to move to 7th. Obviously there weren't many 6th, and with a very short space of time, so that must have been 87. By 88 we were playing 7th edition, and I recall that going from 1250 points up to 1600 point army, so more figures needed. Again, Essex just so popular all over. There must have been other makes, or there were other makes, but it was Essex miniatures, and Brian was knocking out loads of figures. His pike armies, his Greeks were so popular, very, very popular. His medievals, very popular. Not so popular these days, but they were such an eye-opener. I remember painting up loads and loads of those. Some are sold to support the hobby. And I remember one of the first armies I ever painted up was their Byzantine army, the Nicephorian Byzantine, which is the one I'm working on now. Yeah, I painted that and sold that mail order through military modelling. That's going back to, that must have been mid-80s. Yeah. Meanwhile, other than 25mm, we were big into ACW 15mm. As I said, this was mini figs, and we planned, or we would play quite a lot of games, and we planned to play Gettysburg. Me and my Wargames partner, we hired a hotel. It cost us £150. Hired tables, had to hire a van, and we set up and played Gettysburg. We supplied all the terrain, made all the terrain, polystyrene and flock, and painted that. And we supplied the armies. I think we had most of the figures. A bit short on artillery, but yeah, and we got some lads from the Friday night club and some lads from the Tuesday night club, and we played the two sides. Yeah, very enjoyable, a lot of work. But yeah, that was the first big game, playing Gettysburg in a hotel. Yeah, those are the days. So we're now coming up to the end of the 1980s. With the family, I've now got 3 children. I've been busy. It became very difficult to go to Wargames conventions, which, you know, it's not fair to work all week and then go careering off for weekends. Most conventions will have been 2-dayers, you know, if you're playing competitions, and that would mean going down Friday night often, staying somewhere Friday night and Saturday night, and then back late Sunday, and then off back to work. In the meantime, the wife's been left looking after 3 children, so by the end of the 1980s I had sort of stopped going to competition games. It just wasn't practical, and I think right. Yeah, I think that's only right. That's, you know, you have a family to have a family together. not to let the wife bring the kids up. So that takes me to the end of the 1980s. Yeah, give you a clue to what was happening. Very exciting time. Seems to be lots going on. Wargames shows were big and popular and busy, and really was buzzing compared to the 70s and compared to what happened later on. But I'll leave you for now. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. And that's another 10 years of my my Wargames world. So anyway, thanks a lot, and bye for now.